Hello, good people! This is Donna Meals, and that's who I am, and that's what I do. And I'm here to help empower your meals. I'm in the process of empowering mine. I wanted to share with you guys this meme that is just really important to me. I have this little book. It's like I call it my hero's book. And most people have like a vision board, because it is really good to be positive and think and, have the thought and the feeling of what it is that you desire or what your goals are, etc. The best way to accomplish that, I guess energetically, really, is to send out that energy through the quantum waves. We all emit energy. I think I had a little spiel on that, but one of the things that I've come to understand in my, I'm not going to say latter years, I'm going to say middle years. Don't want to date myself, but I remember how I used to think things were when I was in my 20s and my 30s, and I realized how my perspective for literally everything has switched so much. It's amazing, actually, the difference. In fact, I kind of think everything is kind of like the opposite of what I really grew up thinking things were. And that was kind of a weird epiphany that I had one day sitting down talking with a friend. And it's amazing how we change throughout our years. And that's one of those things of evolution. You grow or die. We all have to change. We can't always remain exactly the same. So, but in lieu of that, my meme today is from Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he's one of my heroes. In my hero book, I have a picture of all of the people that I feel cerebrally have affected me and in ways where I've learned so much from them. And he is definitely, I'd say, top 1 and 2. And anyway, Dr. Wayne Dyer, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He wrote several books, a bunch. And my favorite quote from him is, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. And so true. So true. I just know for myself that just going through some of the things that I've been through and learning how to just kind of stop, take a step back, and just kind of reconfigure something and rethink it. And that whole little process of pivoting and taking a different direction. And life is better when you can do that for yourself, when you can really reorient your perspective, because our patterns that we've grown up with and were instilled in us, sometimes we react to things rather than respond. And it's when we get ourselves into trouble. But, if you're able to just kind of change the way you see something, that whole situation seemed to solve themselves. So I love that quote. It's one of my go-tos. So my topic today is about some simple. It's gonna be pretty quick today. I got a really late start. I had a couple appointments today. Anyway, I was, there's certain things that I have. I have my daily morning rituals, and I think I've mentioned this before, where I wake up immediately and I have, I'm usually in, like in a theta brainwave, usually when you wake up, and I do my calming breaths, and I, channel some of my energy from my different areas. That's a whole different, I have my own little thing that I do. I have a little regimen for that, but it's about actually just bringing more energy into your mind and setting your yourself for the day, priming. It's like a priming thing. I do breathing. I hork down a whole bunch of water in the beginning of the day to start myself off. Sometimes I do something called a fire breath. We'll do like a breathing thing too, but that's just kind of where you're breathing super deep, super intense, real quick, pulling your arms down for energy. Did a little bit of that. I thought it was cool. I saw somebody do that, and then I saw it again at Tony Robbins. It's just a good way to bring energy into your body, and it actually oxygenates and energizes your brain. But those are the kind of things that are kind of like my little go-to in the morning, my rituals. But I really wanted to focus in on some ideas for rituals for eating. I don't know, maybe that's like a weird word, rituals, but I mean, you get the point. It's something that it's non-changeable. It's just part of the program. You just do it. And a lot of these revolve around gratitude and honoring yourself and your food and the, whatever it took for that food to come across your, your plate. You've done a lot of work shopping for it, cooking it, prepping it. Somebody else may have done that. And bringing that gratitude around full bore. So there's a few things that I always try and establish for every meal. Not necessarily snacks. I mean, come on, that's what snacks are. But, if you're going to sit down and go through the energy of preparing and figuring out, planning, shopping, whatever, a lot of people, they eat on the run. They're so stressed. They're in a stress mode. You're taking your 20-minute lunch break and just piling food down in that time frame where, that's that old saying, stop and smell the roses. Huge when you're eating, because your body needs to get to a place where it can digest your food the most readily, and that's only going to be accomplished in an efficient way if you're calm, if your fight or flight response is off. So a lot of times, really smart idea to just create your magic plate. That's a handout that I have, and basically all that is just, you want your protein to be the size of your palm, small handful of some kind of starch, and large handful of veggies. Or if you're trying to tone it down and, take down the size of your caboose, then get rid of the starch and double up the veggies. Simple. And, those are just simple. That simple, meat, veggies, starch, whatever. That's what most of us grew up with anyway. Our parents, that was like the go-to. Well, in my generation anyway. You may be a little younger, but that's what my mom had for us every night. That's what we had. We had a meat group, vegetable group, starch group. And there's usually potatoes or noodles or something like that. But I'm at the place now where I kind of take that third group out and double up the other one. And that's really smart for anybody, because everybody, eat your vegetables. Eat your vegetables. Right? I remember that from my mom and dad. All the children in China are starving. And then I guess in the 90s, it was, the parents were saying that everybody was starving in Ethiopia. I don't know. I don't know where it is now. I guess I'm really glad that I don't know, because that means that maybe there isn't something really bad somewhere. But so mealtime, create this magic plate, have a really good balance of whatever it is that you're going to eat. You can plan that out ahead of time, but you also want to create, I use in my handout here, a sacred space. And sacred might be overdoing, the sacred ritual. I might be pushing it a little, but maybe I'm overemphasizing for good reason. But because you want to create your own space, you're not going to be like standing at the counter, at the lunch counter in the office, piling down your lunch in 15 seconds. You want to take a 20-minute time frame at least to eat your meal. Especially, if it's like lunch or breakfast, you want to give yourself that time. Honor yourself. Honor the food and the hands that made it, and, all of that. Take a few, you want to sit down, like I said, not be hunched over the counter. I knew somebody that always ate over the sink, and that I never understood that. Sit down, take a load off. That's all of that is going to relax your parasympathetic nervous system, and you will be able to assimilate your food and process it and digest it with a lot less energy. And we all know energy that you don't use moving food A to B, that's going to make you better in all the other areas in your body. So slowing it down is really good. So like I said, make that meal last the 20 minutes. There's a thing where they say when you're getting about 20%, the hunger scale, and you're like 20%. And then that's if you have the time frame. Like if you're on like a, supervised lunch or dinner time, if you're at work or whatever, I mean, that's different. But, you want to start kind of getting to the place where you're not eating when you're absolutely starving, because then you tend to overeat. You eat more than you need, and you eat faster than you would. It's kind of like, my son had a story about the boys, the young men, eating at the chow hall in boot camp. And he said, they had a certain amount that they were given. And I wanted to die when I first saw him. He lost 15 pounds in boot camp. And I was like, why didn't you just eat more? He says, that's all we were given. I ate what we were given. So here's my kid that was starving this whole time. Me, Miss Manja, eat food for everybody. That didn't go well with me. I had some of the sergeants and gave them a little piece of my mind that day. At the family day before they actually, they graduated the next day. But I gave them a little bit of my mind. Like, that was terrible. So this poor kid was starving, but he said, these boys would be like, hey, you don't, they were like ravenous animals. It's not good. It's not good. That just adds to your cortisol and your stress level, and which is just really not good for you. So you guys don't have that issue where you don't have enough food. Hopefully. I'm assuming. But normally, if we tend to make the plan of what we're going to eat, same idea as if you go grocery shopping when you're starving, you buy 10,000 more things than you need. You end up spending $200 instead of $20. It's just how it is. But along those lines, plan out and say, oh, I'm kind of starting to get hungry, and get it together and eat when you're kind of right in there around 5 or 7, not when you're at 10. It makes sense. Another thing, and I was kind of already mentioned this, was, say grace. This is why people said grace back in the day. This is why it's part of we did when we were kids. And not only to be grateful, but that's, that gratitude is creating good brain chemistry. Things are going to just move along, and your whole system is going to be so much more efficient. And it tends to bring your stress level down, that gratitude, and so that you will have better digestion. So, somebody way back when, thousands of years ago, when they started thanking everyone for their food, there's a couple different reasons for that. And wasn't that so smart, And maybe we need to get back to some of that. That gratitude alone is always going to be just monumentally good for you all day long. I think I mentioned before, I have a little gratitude alarm, and it goes off like 3 times a day. So in the middle, it goes ding, ding. And I'm like, oh, okay. I think of something I'm grateful for. And there you go. I'm improving my brain chemistry just like that. So, here's a couple other things too. These are all some good little tips while you're eating, okay? Make a conscious effort to chew your food thoroughly. Don't just like chomp, 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 swallow, which is what a lot of us tend to do. And a lot of it is because we rush ourselves. Sometimes we rush ourselves even when we're not really rushed. Sometimes we just do it subconsciously because we're not really present when we're eating. I guess all of these things will make you present when you're eating. They force you to be present so that it's actually an enjoyable experience and one that is, doing good for you. But when you chew your food thoroughly, and they say 30 times each bite, really, that slows down the time frame that you're eating, which is really a good thing. The more consistent and slow that you eat and that your food is processed and assimilated, the more efficient use it makes of that. So I eat, the less weight you'll gain, or, the more weight you can lose. I hate that weight gain and lose thing, but you get my point, okay? Another thing is to honor your fullness, okay? When you are, you can give yourself a scale, 1 to 10. When you're 70% full, you're getting there. That's when your brain will register, I think it's ghrelin. It's a chemical, I may be confusing. Anyway, I think it is ghrelin. But I should have looked that up beforehand, sorry. But your hormones, your brain will send messages to, okay, we're getting full now, so we don't need, we cut off the hunger response, So then when you're around 70% fullness, that means it's just registering. That means the rest of the stuff hasn't really gone down the hatch enough and been processed enough for your stomach to actually know you're full. So that's the way, when you are cognizant of being 70% full, okay, it's time to wrap it up and, pause. That's when you'll never ever have the issue where you feel like you're gotta unbutton your pants because I ate too much. That kind of thing. That's the easiest way to never have to feel that again. And that's just an awful feeling. And then you just have all that guilt and shame that goes along with it. Like, oh, I shouldn't eat so much. Or, Thanksgiving, hey, if that's your thing, go for it. If that's what, some people, that's their goal on Thanksgiving Day. That and football. Okay. And that's cool, But for me, I don't know, been to the buffet and whatever. I never one of those people, because nothing looks good to me because I know what it was the day before that they made it into that. So, but a lot of people have, they overeat at the buffet. Not me, but like I said, I know too much information, having been a chef for so many years. So, another thing that's going to help you slow down is every bite you take, put your fork down. Talk with somebody, have some conversation if you're sitting with someone, and go through that process. The longer that you draw out your meal, the less, the more efficient. I'm just going to stick with that more efficient use. And we can always equate more efficient to, your size will be smaller in the end. If you really employ just a few of these little, tips and tricks, just try that. Try it, your next meal, and say, I'm going to go through and I'm going to post this little handout. I'll have a link to it for you guys to go back through. Yeah. So, when you're honoring your food, honoring your hunger, saying, oh, I'm starting to get hungry, I'm going to put this together, I'm not going to wait till I get too far gone. And then you're honoring your fullness. Those are really important. And just slowing it down and having the gratitude. So, I will post this. This is going to be part of my little workbook that I'm working on, but I was going through and kind of created that last night, and I thought, yeah, that's a good little talk to have today. So I know some of you, you get busy, so it's a little shorter today. Am I going to do a food hack? That was the food hack. The topic was the food hack. So I'm going to keep it short tonight. So wishing you all a great evening, and I am going to do a cooking show on Friday. So not sure if I'll post something tomorrow on Thursday, but if so, then yay. But I'm kind of trying to stick it to Monday, Wednesday, Friday to give me time to put some other stuff together in between in those days. So thank you so much. Love you all. Be good and have a great night.